It's beautiful.
The season sure is getting closer and closer, isn't it? Welcome back to the channel Pro Enzo Vids, and this is my pre-season challenge, week 2 tips for 2024. So obviously this week's the last week of the pre-season challenge trials before we go into, I guess you can say, round 1 next Sunday when the Vegas games do start between Manly Souths and Broncos Roosters. So how exciting. The footy for round 1's not far at all. It's getting very close. And yeah, it's only just this week of trials and that's it. Then we move on to the actual official season. So how exciting. It'll be so good once it does start. But yeah, no, look, I guess this week most clubs, apart from the Vegas clubs, have strong sides. Like I had a brief look at Bulldogs and the Eels sides. They look pretty strong. It's like a actual first grade team or team and named actually for like a round 1 game, for example. But yeah, I think it's, you know, obviously guys like teams like Manly and, you know, Rabbitohs, Roosters and Broncos have all named pretty young teams with reserve graders and backup players at best. So it's really just about getting those guys more exposure before before they do get caught up and get maybe given a go in first grade during the season if they're needed. So yeah, it's going to be a good week of football, I feel like, and I'm looking forward to the week ahead. But before I do get into my tips, please be sure to, as always, like this video and do subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Yeah, road to 4K, obviously. That's my main goal, 4K subscribers. I know that's obviously, yeah, it's obviously, you know, getting closer and closer to that mark. But yeah, I do appreciate everyone that has recently subscribed and has helped my goal getting to 4K subscribers. Like, the growth's been amazing. So again, always appreciate that. But without further ado, let's get into my pre-season challenge week 2 tips. Right, so the very first game is between the Roosters and the Rabbitohs at Belmore Sports Ground. And this is a double header between them two, and afterwards there's Bulldogs and the Sharks. And yeah, it's so funny. Never I would have thought I'd see Rabbitohs and Roosters play at Belmore. You know, I never would have thought that, but it's basically rookie team v rookie team. It doesn't really matter who wins because all their best players are obviously going to go to Vegas or are already there. So yeah, either way, the result for this game does not matter one bit. But I guess we'll go through what the teams do look like. So for the Rabbitohs, Braden Burns will start at fullback this time. I believe he was playing on the wing last week against the Dragons for the Charity Shield. The 36-year-old Yanni Gordon, who's still playing for Rabbitohs, and he plays them in the New South Wales Cup. He'll start at prop, and then yeah, it's still a very inexperienced South side. For the Roosters, Alex Young will replace his brother Dom in the team, and Dylan Napa will start at prop, and he's the only NRL player with experience in that Roosters team. So yeah, there you go. I don't know. I don't really care who wins, to be honest. It's literally a toss of a coin game. I'll just go Rabbitohs because there's more players in that team I know than compared to the Roosters, but either way, whoever wins does not matter in my opinion. I'll just go South by 2. And first try scorer, Braden Burns at fullback, because why not? I only know him really. And anytime try scorer, I'm just going to go with someone called Taroa Williams on the wing for the Roosters. I don't know why, I'm just going to back him anyway. Who cares? But yeah, South by 2. Right, moving on to more experienced sides for this game. And that's the Sharks taking on the Bulldogs again as a second double-header game at Belmore. And yeah, it's very interesting that both teams, you know, very, very strong. Obviously, pretty much looking like their best teams. It looks like, in my opinion. Don't know where they'll lean towards, if this is their teams going forward or not. But yeah, plenty of time to still make some changes in round 1. But looking at that Sharks team, Will Kennedy will play his first game since round 22 last year. He's part of a full-strength backline, which has Jesse Ramey and Renato Mulatalo in it as well. And Nico Hines and Braden Trindle will have returned from the All-Stars game last Friday and will play in the halves together against the Bulldogs. Now, for the Bulldogs, Stephen Crichton gets his first run as a Bulldog in the jersey this coming Friday, but we'll start in the centres, where I do think that's his best position. I can't stand people saying he'll play fullback because that's not his best position. Blake Taaffe will regain the number 1 jersey. Kikau also starts for his first game in 2024, joining Jacob Preston in the back row. And James Salmon starts at lock, so that's interesting actually. So James Salmon seems to be more preferred at lock at the moment than Josh Curran, from what it looks like. Curran's off the bench, so I don't know whether they will start round 1 with Curran at lock or Salmon there, but I gotta say, Salmon was good last week against against the Storm at Belmore last week. So yeah, it'd be a tough call for Serrato. And Drew Hutchison is again getting the preferred halfback role over Toby Sexton. So very interesting indeed. My tip for this game, ooh, you know what? I'll go the Bulldogs. I think this time. I know I tipped against them last week, but it's at Belmore. Crichton's playing. Kickout's back. And overall, it's a pretty good looking team, and I'm pretty keen to see how that team does go. Sharks have a good team too, but I don't know, just at Belmore, I think the Dogs will put on a good performance, and they'll definitely make some selection headaches for Serrato. So I'll go Bulldogs by 6. First try scorer, Blake Wilson, was so good last week as well. And I'll also go with any time try scorers, Viliami Kikia, and I'll also back in for the Sharks from Rama Mulatalo. Okay, the next game is actually going to be held in Fiji, so that's so exciting. I don't know whether the NRL has ever taken a game to Fiji before, maybe in a trial in the past, I think, but it's a long time since that's happened. But yeah, it's Storm versus Knights at Churchill Park in Lautoka, Fiji, so either way, very exciting for the game to take a game to Fiji, and yeah, well done for making it happen. Yeah, both Storm and the Knights have named looking at their teams, pretty strong teams actually. But there's some notable outs for the Storm. So looking at the Storm's team first though, Munster will be rested until round 1. That's why Jonah Pezzett starts in the halves with Jerome Hughes. Will Warbrick, Xavier Coates, and Nick Meaney return to the back line again. Pappenhausen starts at fullback. Kama Kamika will start at prop. Harry Grant will start at hooker, with Josh King and Elysia Katoa in the starting team, while Christian Walsh, Joe Chen, Sean Bloor, Bronson Garlick, and Jack Howard make up the extended bench. And also what's interesting to me is that Tristan Powell, who is a young forward for the Storm, is gotten a spot off the bench, so very interesting actually there. And for the Knights, Jalen Bradley won't be risked this week, so he'll be out because of his hamstring problems he's had recently. So Ponga will captain the side from fullback, and Ari Tuala will go crack on the wing. So we'll see how Tuala goes on the wing this week. Hastings and Gamble the halves together again, and Jack Hogger likely to come on off the bench. So he'll come on off the bench. So yeah, very interesting indeed. My tip for this game, I think it'll be a very close game, but I'll just tip the Storm because I think the Storm have a bit more going for them. I think Hughes and Pappenhausen will have a big game, and I think, going to Fiji, and normally the Storm are pretty good in big occasions, like, obviously Kama Kamika's from Fiji, so he'd like to have a big game for his people there too, his family from Fiji probably. And yeah, I think the Storm will just be up for this occasion, so I'll go Storm by 10. I'll go a scoreline of 26 points to 16, and I'll go first try scorer Will Warbrick in the wing, with any time try scorers being Elysia Katoa, and for the Knights I'll go Greg Marzu. Okay, on to the next game now. This game's in New Zealand, so it's the Wires taking the Dolphins at Go Media Stadium in Auckland, so 3:45 p.m. kickoff. But obviously will be like 6 o'clock over in New Zealand, so it'll be sort of night over there. But yeah, Warriors Dolphins, very interesting matchup here. Both sides seem to have named pretty strong lineups too. I can see for the Warriors that their fullback position is a bit different to what people have been thinking. Their bench is a bit interesting too. So for the Warriors, looks like Sean Johnson is going to play. So he'll play a halfback, and he returns from an ankle injury he got in the preseason. So SJ will start and will partner Luke Metcalf in the halves, which I do think that is the Warriors' preferred halves pairing, Metcalf and Johnson. Murray Martin is in the reserves. Tane Tuapiki, who's the guy starting at fullback for the Warriors, will start at fullback with Chance Nickel Klukstad out with a hamstring injury and racing the clock to be fit for round 1. And DWZ, Dallin Martinez-Lesniak is back on the wing from injury. For the Dolphins, Jesse Bromwich, sorry about that, but for the Dolphins, Jesse Bromwich comes in for his first run of the year in the Dolphins starting pack. Hamisa Tabuai-Fidow starts at fullback. Herbie Farnworth is playing centre again, but could switch between the game with Hamiso and himself at fullback potentially. And Ray Stone looks to have overcome his toe injury and is named in the wider reserves. For this game, I will tip the Warriors because it's in New Zealand, and I think their pack looks really good with unfamiliar Blake Wade Egan, Mitchell Barnett, Jackson Ford, Kurt Capel, and Tahu Harris. That's such a strong pack, man. That's a really, really good pack. Dolphins have a great team too, but I think the Warriors might just get them. And SJ's back too. And I think he'll like to have a big game as well. And him and RTS back together, so will be huge for sure. So Warriors by 8. I'll go 18. Actually, I'll go 28 points to 20. I think a few points will be scored. And I'll go first try scorer Daniel Lesniak back at Auckland. And anytime try scorers, Jackson Ford. And for the Dolphins, I'll go with Herbie Farnworth. And maybe Jermaine Asako too, but Warriors by 8. Okay, on to now Manly and the Broncos. My boys take on the Bronx. It's both very young teams, though. Both sides have named really rookie players for this weekend. So that's because both teams are going to Vegas. And obviously, they're not going to play their best players, obviously. So, yeah, plenty of rookies displayed here. And I believe every player playing this game is not going to go to Vegas, from what I understand. Could be wrong, but that's what I've been told and have heard anyway. But, yeah, look, I'll be at this game, obviously, members-only game. So if you are a member, you can go. But if you aren't, you can't go. But, yeah, I'm looking at our team especially. It's very interesting who's been left out of Vegas. And for the Broncos, yeah, same with them. But for us, though, Brad Parker will not be coming to Vegas. So he'll start in the back row and he'll continue his transition to the back row too. So he'll start in the back row in this game. Now, Toph Sipley can play in this game, which is very interesting because I thought he was ruled out, but preseason challenge does not count, apparently, which is kind of bullshit in my opinion. But, yeah, so he'll miss 3 games of the NRL season, not starting in the preseason challenge. So he'll still captain Manly for this weekend and start prop. And Brandon Wakeham and Jamie Humphries are the halves, with a bunch of other young kids still playing too for Manly. For the Broncos, D. Louise Hoyter will captain the side. That includes young guns Blake Moser, Ben Takura, Josh Rogers and Kurt Fall starting the halves of the Broncos, and Jordan Pereira on the wing. And Jane Hunt, who came from the Dragons, will play for the Broncos too. So there we go. And I can't believe it, but it's Broncos' first time playing at Brookie since 2014. But it doesn't really matter because it's not really an official NRL game, and their big stars aren't playing, just the Broncos with a bunch of reserve graders and rookies. But yeah, interesting game. But I'll just go Manly because of that Brookie. I feel like first game of the year, doesn't matter if we win or lose. I don't really care, to be honest. But I just think. Yeah, I just think because it's at Four Pines Park and because the members will come out for this game, they'll turn up and get the boys home, I reckon. So, yeah, I think expect a big, I don't think it'll be a big crowd, but it'll be a crowd good enough to get the boys home. So I'll go Manly by about 4 points, like, I guess, 22 points to 18, maybe. And first trial scorer, I'm going Cameron Brown. And, I've been really impressed with what Cameron Brown's been doing for Manly in the last 2 trial games. Good athletic winger, I feel like, and playing centre obviously this weekend. But yeah, he's been really good in both trials against the Souths and Roosters, so I'll back him for first try. Anytime trial scorers, I'll go with a bit of a bold one, but Ben Condon for a try anytime. And I'll also back in Bailey Hodgson for a try too. Been liking what he's been doing too. And for the Broncos, I'll go with JP, Jordan Pereira, seems to score many tries in games. And I'll also back in Jane Hunt in the back row too. So there we go for that game. Manly by 4. I'll be there. Moving on to the very next game now. And this one's between both the Dragons and the West Tigers at Glen Willow Stadium in Mudgee. So, finally a game at Mudgee for this season, Obviously, last week's charity match was at the Australia Jubilee Stadium. But, that's really only one of the few times it gets played there. But, yeah, no Mudgee this season. So that's interesting for the Charity Shield. But the Dragons do play there either way in this trial. So they'll take on the Tigers. And both sides have named pretty much their best 17s they can. Not that impressive, but see how they go, I guess. But for the Dragons, it's pretty much the same team, except RFM, Raymond Fatala-Mariner, their new signing, comes off the bench. That's about it. And for the West Tigers, Justin Olam will play his first game for the West Tigers, and alongside Safa Toa in the centres. Jaden Sullivan and Aiden Caesar will again play in the halves together. No Latu Finu for some reason. And Jareen Buller and Api Korosia will play fullback and the hooker positions. Lachlan Galvin is named at jersey 14. And Samuel Fainu will play off the bench too. Alex Seyfarth, Alex Twal and Justin Matamua are all included too. Righto, my tip for this game. yeah, I don't know. From what I saw last week from the Dragons, I wasn't that impressed. You know, they started well. Their defense was gritty at the start, but they don't have. Yeah, they can't keep composure for the full game. So I reckon that's why Tigers will win, because they were a bit more impressive with that team they had against the Warriors and what the Dragons were against Souths, who barely had many players of their first grade team playing. So I'll go Tigers by about 12 points, to be honest. First try scorer, I'll go with Junior Tupou on the wing, with anytime try scorers being Doreen Buller and also Apikoros having done me half. And for the Dragons, I'll back in Ravalawa and maybe Lomax 2 on the wing, but yeah, I don't know. Either way, I think Tigers win this by 12. Righto, on to the very first game of Sunday now at 3 p.m. at Seaford Oval in Queen Bean, which is, or Queen Bean, sorry, which is in Canberra somewhere. It's the Raiders take on the Cowboys, and from what it looks like, both sides are named pretty much their strongest teams as possible. With the Raiders, though, their backline is very different to what I've first anticipated. So, yeah, very interesting backline for the Canberra Raiders there. And for the Cowboys, it seems like a team that I've expected to see, honestly. But for the Raiders, though, Kyle Weeks will start at 5'8", so he'll keep his spot there. And Ethan Strange will line up in the halves this time. So actually, Ethan Strange moves to the halfback role with Kyle Weeks at 6. So I guess it's a bit of a battle for who wins that 5'8" role. And also, Matt Tomoko will also play in this game too. Jamal Fogarty's out because he's been rested until round 1. Trey Mooney and Hohepa Puru, along with Tomoko, back from the All-Stars game last week. And Jones Harpney will be rested. Elliot Whitehead will captain the side. Zach Wolford has been listed among the interchange despite suffering a head knock against the Eels last week. And Morgan Smithies and Zach Hoskin will play their first games to the Raiders too. For the Cowboys, Drinkwater, Holmes, Talangi, Dearden, Townsend, Nanai, Tamalolo all hit the paddock for the first outing of 2024. The new co-captain, Ruben Cotter, will play. And Tom Chester, Semi Valame, Kuli Kefifina Fuyaki are among those coming off the bench after last week's game in Mackay. So, for this game, I will tip the Cowboys just because their team is a whole lot stronger than what the Raiders team is. Like, the Raiders team's interesting. Like, Hobawadi at fullback, Utaloa Asamoah on the wing. Don't know who that is, but some kid on the wing there for Canberra. Tomoko, Schiller in the centres, Savage on the wing, and you've got Weeks and Strange in the halves. Yeah, don't really like that, to be honest. It's a very weak back line, but it's only a trial, but not a great back line. But the Cowboys clearly overall the better team. So I'll go Cowboys by 16. First try scorer, I'll go Nanai. Anytime Holmes and Zach Labour, the two centres. And for the Raiders, I'll go with Xavier Savage for a try. And maybe as well, Hudson Young, because he's playing. Okay, on to the very last game of the pre-season challenge trials for this season. It's the Titans taking on the Eels at 5 p.m. at North Ipswich Reserve. So this game has been taken to Ipswich in Queensland. Titans and Parramatta. So yeah, looking like both sides have been named as the strongest sides they can name for both clubs. Obviously, Titans have David Fafita out. That's why I can see that Jacob Alec is starting in the back row. And obviously, Jaden Campbell is in doubt for round 1, and he's out of this game too. That's why Keanu Kinney starts at fullback. So very interesting there. But yeah, looking at both sides for the Titans, Des Hasler rolls out his big guns for this week. Tino, Tanner Boyd, Brimson, Fodawaker are all playing this game. Khan Pereira, Brian Kelly, and Kina Palacia all play as well and return from the All-Stars games. Jacob Alec is good to go after missing the All-Stars game with an ankle injury. And Fafita Peck and Campbell Knee are both out. For the Eels, Guffson will play and he recovers from a knee injury. So he'll start at fullback with Mitchell Moses coming in as well. Dylan Brown and Micah Sevo all in. Campbell Gillard and Junior Pulo start at props. And Jermaine Hopgood returns from the Indigenous All-Stars and starts a lock for the Eels. And yeah, that's that. Okay, and Ryan Madison, 18th man. Interesting. All right, my tip for this game, I'll tip Parramatta. I think Parramatta will get the job done here. Should be a close game because I think both sides look pretty good on paper, but I'll go Parramatta by 4. Yeah, very close game, I guess you can say. First try, I'll go with Bryce Cartwright. I'm just having a vision that he might score at some point in this game, but I reckon he'll score first. Then I'll go with Sean Russell anytime and also Sebo anytime. And for the Titans, I'll go with Keanu Kinney for a try. Car Pereira will score. And maybe Bo Fermor, who gets his chance this weekend. Good to see Bo Fermor back from an ACL injury he copped last preseason. So I do hope that he has a good game. But there we go. That's that. Eagles by 4. And that wraps up my pre-season week 2 tips for this season. So thank you for watching. Please be sure to like this video. Do subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already, and comment your tips in the comment section down below. But yeah, thank you for watching. And yeah, round 1's not far away. It's getting very close. So get keen.